I hope this is chronologically the same. I hope I didn't miss anything. 'Cause I don't think I missed anything.
Do you agree that there's a lot of parents who neglect those children?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that those kids should suffer because they have bad parents?
No.
Okay,
I don't think they should, but bad shit happens.
On to the next point.
And there's so many people that die from car accidents, bro. We get shit. It's bad.
Why is my
Some
shit just
happens.
chugging, bro?
Like we can't save everybody. We can't save everybody, bro. Like it is.
But just because we can't save everybody doesn't mean we don't try.
I'm advocating for kids to take advantage of the surplus of food available to them in different ways that it is.
Yeah.
Why you tripping like this? God, that was annoying as hell.
It's not on somebody to do it, bro. Like, you know, you're shitty parents. I get it, dog. This life. Life is fucking hard, dog. And some children are born in fucked up circumstances, bro. It is what it is.
Yeah, but I had a debate with Stevie Knight from Night Talk. He reached out to me to have a discussion after he covered our Kirk video. There's like two parts that really like threw me off a lot.
There should be free school lunch for all children.
No.
Why?
Of course not. Because parents should feed their kids, not the government.
What if they can't?
Go get a job.
A child? You
No,
want child
the parents should go get the job. You are a dumb dude. Don't give me this stuff. First of all, this is really.
I want children to eat.
Of course I do. Show me a single child in America going hungry. Doesn't exist. It does not exist. We have a child obesity problem.
So I'm like, if you just Google it, what he said is a blatant lie. But the smugness with which he said that stuff, he's like, well, the parents should pay it. Well, we all know that parents out there. We all know it's like parents who neglect their kids, parents who got on drugs, whatever it could be. And Stevie was like aggressively defending the stance. Go get food stamps. You can get food at churches. There's no reason to starve. You remember that?
Yeah, there's no reason to starve in America. It's like 1% of households have like a, I guess.
Hold on, my stream is fucking lagging, bro. I don't know why my shit's lagging so bad. It's not even raining no more.
Do you agree that there's a lot of parents who neglect those children?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that those kids should suffer because they have bad parents?
No.
Okay,
I don't
so
think they should, but bad shit happens.
on to the next point.
And there's so many people that die from car accidents, bro. We get shit. It's bad. Up shit happens. Like we can't save everybody. We can't save everybody, bro. Like it is.
But just because we can't save everybody doesn't mean we don't try.
I'm advocating for kids to take advantage of the surplus of food available to them in different ways that it is.
Yeah.
It's not on somebody to do it, bro. Like, you know, you're shitty parents. I get it, dog. This life. Life is fucking hard, dog. And some circumstances, bro. It is what it is.
Yeah, but I had a debate with Stevie Knight from Night Talk. He reached out to me to have a discussion after he covered our Kirk video a while back. There's like two parts that really like threw me off a lot.
There should be free school lunch for
I
all
don't think
children.
this is me. I think
Why?
this
Of
is
course not. Because
them. I don't
parents
know.
should feed their kids, not the government.
What if they can't?
Go get a job.
A child? You
No,
want
single child in America going hungry. Doesn't exist. It does not exist. We have a child obesity problem.
So I'm like, if you just Google it, what he said is a blatant lie. But the smugness with which he said that stuff, he's like, well, the parents should pay it. Well, we all know there's bad parents out there. We all know there's like parents who neglect their kids, parents who got on drugs, whatever it could be. And Stevie was like aggressively defending the stance. Go get food stamps. You can get food at churches. There's no reason to starve. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there's no reason to starve in America. It's like 1% of households have like a, I guess, technically a hunger issue, bro. But people are not starving to death in America, bro. Motherfuckers are fat as hell.
But I remember just it throwing me off because I'm like, what possesses an adult to look like a 7-year-old? And like I said, there's 14 million kids suffer from food scarcity. That means they don't know where they're gonna get their next meal. I went to school with niggas like that. Y'all didn't go to school with nobody who just sometimes they would show up and they didn't have a lunch, and the teacher would sometimes have to fill in if they would. But I remember some lunches the kids didn't get shit. They used to have to eat out of other kids' boxes. And you know, people are like, oh, well, what's wrong with skipping a meal? When you're in development, it's bad. It stunts their growth. Their academic scores are lower on average as well.
It is hard to believe, but a government report out tonight says more than 17 million American children don't know where their next meal is coming from. Many count on school food programs But what happens now that school is out?
And then afterwards, Stevie's like, well,
If homeless or hungry, they can go get some fucking food, dog. Food stamps, bro. The homeless don't go hungry, bro. They can go get a meal if they want to get a meal.
you're comparing children to homeless. Have you not been a child before? Do you think kids know where to? Yeah, but the teacher.
Call parties that do this for a living to find children the resources that they need. Like teachers do this all the time. They'll see a child that may be neglected and they'll make the calls or alert people to, intervene.
You want to call child services? You want to put them in foster care?
It may be better than having the shooty ass parents.
Have you looked into foster care, Stevie? Have you Googled foster care?
Man, but you're describing these parents as ain't shit, bro. Like it is bad shit.
You want the teacher to wait till the kid's like emaciated and clearly skinned?
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
That's
It's
what I'm
crazy.
saying. I was like, okay, you just want to be right just to be right. What are we doing? Is that what you think the kid is gonna go out? Oh yeah, you know what? My lunch break. Let me go to this food bank real quick. Or hop in my car and go. Oh no. Why am I even trying to say this to someone? It's like you don't know teachers. You don't know what teachers do. You haven't never been to school. It's okay to be wrong and say like, you know what? Hey, you're right.
And then afterwards, it kept getting colder and colder. He's like, all these EBT stamps, you get food stamps. I'm like, you want a 10-year-old to get food stamps? Like, y'all know. And then it kept going. And at one point, he just said, well, listen, man, it is what it is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and the world's not perfect, dog. It's not utopia, bro. So it's like, I get, and then I'm a capitalist, dog. I'm not in support of the government coming out taking care of everything. I know it's a problem. But I never said what I want to do about it. I could care less. Like, it is what it is, dog. This life is fucking hard, dog. And some children are born in fucked up circumstances, bro. It is what it is.
But to kids not having access to food, shit happens. And I remember why, thinking, like now with hindsight, I remember why this moment really stuck out to me. It's like, if you talk like that about kids not having access to food, is it any wonder why people think you guys are monsters? I don't agree with it. I think it's an abhorrent view to hold. But this is the extremism that leads to somebody like Charlie Kirk getting shot. This kind of like bad faith, almost like mean-spirited. It's like, I don't understand what's Christian about that either. And that's not your Christian, but Charlie is. Like, we have kids that are suffering. You guys are like super anti-abortion, pro-life. You guys want to preserve. Then these kids come out and there's like this smug attitude of like,
I'm pro-life. I'm pro-life. But if you're hungry, man, shit happens.
I feel like society's best when we take care of the less fortunate, be it the homeless, be it the mentally ill, be it the children. And it just, at some points, I'm like, I don't know if we really disagree on this for real.
That's just because.
Or you're just being mean-spirited about it. I understand the principle of like not wanting the government to pay for everything. But kids, I also thought to myself, when you have this attitude of, shit happens, tough luck. Okay, well, shit happens. Charlie Kirk got shot.
Tough luck.
Shit happened. Political violence.
No.
That kind of apathy, where you just say, I'm a capitalist. I don't believe the government should be involved in this. Bro, that was one of the wildest moments for me. Like, you understand your kid gets on a school bus paid for by the government. You understand that the government mandates you to be at school 8 hours, and if you're not, it's illegal, and they can come for you. So the government gonna force you to be at school, but they're not gonna make sure you are right. What? Yeah, it's also kind of funny because if you think about it, the government's already really.
I really thought you were in the
involved with
hospital
children,
room.
right? They are the ones who are expected to set up school buses and take kids to school. If the school's dangerous enough, they get security systems, they get metal detectors, right? We expect them to have a school resource
don't even know his word, honestly.
for health in case some of the kids get sick. So there's a lot of things that during those 8 hours we offset to the government, but somehow lunch is too much. And then also Stevie's argument was essentially like,
I'm talking about like teachers making calls to get, the correct parties involved to address a child, to find a potential food for them.
I'm gonna disagree. I think that stance is crazy.
You don't think there's other ways for children to get food outside?
I don't know. Have you ever been a kid? You think kids just know where to get free food every day? You truly think kids know what the resources are? Like, what are we talking about, man?
I don't know what their day-to-day is, man, but maybe there's meetings or like ways that teachers can express this to children to like educate them on.
So you want the government to make sure the kids know where to get access to. Why wouldn't you just give the kids the food?
Yo, at that
And that's why I stopped for a second. I'm like, isn't this just mean-spirited? Like, why are we choosing a more expensive option, a more complicated option, which requires underpaid teachers who are already overworked to go do jobs that are not for teachers?
At some point, I was like, what am I even watching? Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, When your first thing was no, the government shouldn't be involved. Oh, not that. They should do this, but that doesn't make sense. Okay, well, they should do that. Well, that doesn't make sense. So then what? Well, government.
Yeah. At first, he didn't even believe that this whole food scarcity thing is a thing, right?
You are a temp, dude. Don't give me this stuff. First of all, this is really
I want children to eat.
Of course I do. Show me a single child in America going hungry. Doesn't exist. It does not exist. We have a child obesity problem.
I'll ask you a question. Which one is higher, the amount of abortions in America or the amount of starving children in America?
The amount of starving kids in America.
That's cap.
That's cap? Did you Google it? Did you Google it?
I don't need to Google it.
You don't need facts. But you know what? Facts don't care about how you feel about it. I need you to Google it. He said, I don't need to Google it. I don't need facts.
Yeah, that's why I'm like.
And I'm just like, well, why argue this if you don't even want to look into it, right?
Okay, you just said that you don't need facts. You don't need to Google. You're just gonna rely on what you know, which is feeling, how you feel about it. And I was like, emotions.
Now,
What's the point?
in his defense, I will say that when we're talking about food scarcity and kids not having access to food, which is what this program is about, that doesn't mean you're necessarily starving to death on the side of the road. But guys, there's something in between starving to death, malnourishment, all these different problems, and having access to good food, right? Just because you weren't beaten to death doesn't mean you weren't abused. The same way, just because you didn't starve to death doesn't mean you weren't malnourished and had food problems.
Lisa, a single mother, lost her job as a makeup artist 3 years ago after she became seriously ill. She sends Lola to this day camp because a free breakfast and lunch, Monday through Friday, come with it.
She gets to eat here and it's great food, and sometimes there's not much of a choice at home.
Their food budget is $200 a month.
I never thought that I would be in this position, unemployed, struggling, trying to make ends meet, but that quick, it can absolutely happen.
But people look at it, and because someone doesn't raise their voice, or because someone, doesn't talk about their heart or how sad they are, they're like, this is not emotional. But this is also hyper emotional, right? This is another form of and to be fair to him, I didn't do the best job of listening throughout the debate and really taking in what he was saying to be able to rebut him properly. So that's on me, for not being able to enunciate my arguments pretty well.
And not even really in a defense of Stevie, but it didn't seem like he really had his arguments completely thought out, like about the solutions and shit for school. Because what I said makes a lot of sense. If the parents aren't available and they are at a school, the schools could easily do their own food drive.
But at the same time, when you get to a point in the conversation where, okay, so do you think that those kids should suffer because they have bad parents?
No.
Okay,
I don't think they should, but bad shit happens.
On to the next point.
And there's so many people that die from car accidents, bro. Fucked up shit happens. Like, we can't save everybody. We can't save everybody, bro. Like, it is.
But just because we can't save everybody doesn't mean we don't try. Yeah, yes, car accidents happen every year. Doesn't mean we don't try to make cars safer. Doesn't mean we don't make roads better.
And there's ways for children to get food.
Okay, man. And I'm like, why would you sit across from me and try to pretend like we're not supposed to try to help people?
We take steps in order for things not to happen anymore.
Absolutely.
There was a point where there was no seat belts in cars. So that will happen. People die from accidents. So they said, you know what? Let's implement seatbelts. And we did that again. I'm sorry. What?
The government forced it.
Cool. Then after the seatbelt, what was it? Airbags. That would be the same thing with, I don't know, kids starving.
In the original video, he said,
and the left get generalized being a certain way, man, because that is the emotionally driven side.
And I remember hearing that, and then I asked that about him and he's like, yeah, I feel like the right is a bit more logical and things like that. You said the left is more emotional, so I feel like you think the right is more logical.
Yeah, I'd agree with that take.
Okay. And as we discussed the whole topic of good versus evil, there's a portion of it that's really interesting.
The cancer needs to be cut out, bro. Ain't no talking to them. And it needs to be, get these motherfuckers out of here. It is war because ain't no talking to them. Ain't nothing you say to them. They need to be deterred. They need to be controlled. They need to be fucking exiled, decapitated, whatever your cup of tea is, bro.
That's what he said in the original. Yeah. Now, I'm going to be super good faith and think he was being hyperbolic and emotional at the time, and he didn't mean to say that we shouldn't take off the heads of people who said this stuff. But I'm going to just assume that. I'm going to be very good faith thinking he was just being spur of the moment. Let's listen. I'm a disagree with you. I think people who do evil things aren't necessarily evil. I think sometimes they're hurt. I think sometimes they are in a really bad place. I think sometimes these are folks that, and it's almost ironic too, because I do believe that people should be punished for the things that they do and they should suffer those consequences, but I don't think they're irredeemable. Labeling someone evil, I think, is a way for us to look at something and then simplify it. But the reality is that things are complex. People are complex, and the reason why they get to that place is very difficult. There's plenty of people who were white supremacists or part of horrible gangs and came back from it. There's how many people went to gangs and later on went to be the kind of people who keep kids out of gangs? Horrible things and came back from it. Same thing on the left side.
They better get back from it before it's too late. That's all I'm saying, because I ain't got time to care about why they are that they are.
Now, just before we keep going with this, I should also be accountable in the way that I engage in discourse, because plenty of times where I have probably written people off out of frustration because you just see a lot of shit every day. We all have those feelings. The important part is that when we're talked back from that ledge, we don't stay there. Because the moment you start looking at people and looking at large swaths of people and saying they need to lose their freedoms, they need to do this. Listen, y'all can think it's despicable. I agree it's just despicable. I agree there's a lot of bad things, but it doesn't mean that these people should lose their freedoms. Because then we go into a place now where you are now criminalizing things that aren't criminal. They might be abhorrent. They might be views you don't agree with, but part of living in a free society means that the views that you have, you're allowed to hold them and still be free. Now, we might not employ you, we might cancel you, but this idea that we're going to bring violence, that we're going to bring police officers, we're going to put you in jail because we don't like what you stand for, understand how that can be used for persecution someday. You might be a religious person. What if the country becomes much more liberal or much more atheist? You might be the person who they come for one day and call evil. This is definitely the time where you want to tone that kind of stuff down. Now, I know it's not easy. I'm not going to sit here on my soapbox and pretend I'm perfect. I've done it myself. But this is the emotional side of things. When we talk about people being emotional, this is called being emotional. You might feel justified, you might feel righteous, but the moment you just say, everybody who did this is just evil, then what that happens is that going after these people becomes justice. If you hurt them, it's not bad because it's justice. You smited evil. That's why we got to be careful with how we talk about folks. If they're evil today, you could be deemed evil tomorrow.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Is that people whenever they say stuff like that, they don't think that they could be on the other side, right? But it all depends on who's in power.
And something bad happens to you because you fucking spit on Kirk's grave, or you up here acting like you got shot in front of a fucking memorial, bro. Like, I could care less. But like, you fuck around and find out. Hopefully you figure that shit out before you find out.
Okay, but do you understand that you fuck around and find out is the exact sentiment that a lot of people had about Kirk? That he spewed that stuff, and so he fucked around and find out? I'm just saying. You might disagree. Oh, I didn't think he was hateful. They thought he was hateful. And that's my whole point. That's my entire point. You think you understand and you have the monopoly on what is. But there's a large segment of people who saw that Kirk would force his 10-year-old daughter who was raped to conceive the child because of his values. Now, you could argue this. You could say because of religion, whatever. You're forcing a 10-year-old to risk their life because of your religious values.
And some people will
a kid who can't consent, and you're putting their life at risk. You can argue whatever you want, but to say that's not a very contentious thing where easily a lot of people are going to think you're evil, you're crazy. But knowing that, even if I think that's wrong to do that, I would defend Charlie, and I would never say he's necessarily an evil person for having that view. I don't like the guy, but not liking the guy is very, very different than thinking he's evil. I definitely used the word monster a couple times, you know what I mean? Just because he was like, yo, don't eat no lunches, little motherfuckers. But even I need to tone it down. So I'm also taking accountability about my part.
Whenever Charlie said that, you know what, the collaterals of gun ownership is that we're going to lose a couple of lives, and that's all right.
But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
Well, guess what? By saying that, he fucked around and found out. Some people could think that. Yeah. And according to what you're saying, Stevie, it would be all just fine.
Just to get this out of the way, I think at one point he claimed I took Kirk out of context because I didn't mention the fact that he was a Christian.
Man, my argument was you took out of context. People can say what they want to say, but you took out of context, you're manufacturing a narrative. You didn't have Christian in that clip, though.
And watching it back in retrospect, I did do some prep for it. I don't really do debates much. It's not something like I did in high school or whatever, so I'm just doing it on the fly. I think if I had to rate the performance, I'm going to give myself like a 3 out of 10. And this is where I
wouldn't
give
say
myself a
3.
3 out of 10. I should have rewatched my video because I did mention the fact that Kirk was a Christian. In fact, I called him a Christian boy just before we played that clip. I've heard people call him a good Christian boy. It kind of bothered me because Stevie said he watched my video 3 times in preparation. Yeah.
And I've watched the video probably 3 more times. You didn't have Christian in that clip, though.
And he said I didn't call him a Christian.
In
but
the clip, though.
You guys can go check the video transcript. It's right there.
He intentionally showed you that clip leaving out the context, dog. And you look at that snip, it looks hideous, man.
Do you feel like you manufactured a narrative on Kirk by showing those snips of him in your video?
You said I took him out of context, right?
Not even take him out of context. You put your context on it.
A few minutes later.
Okay, and then you said that we were kind of dishonest with how we did that we clipped him out of context, and then we put our own context, right?
No, I'm not saying you put your own context. You didn't put the entire context.
Huh?
You put your context on it.
I noticed that too. I didn't say it at the time, but I'm like, you did say that a minute ago, but I'm just let y'all go.
Doesn't mean that you don't play their entire argument. That's not what taking someone out of context is. Taking someone out of context, for example, you grab a gun, you shoot somebody, I play that clip, and I'm like, this guy's a murderer. Not realizing that the full context is that this person had attacked you first, and then you pulled out the gun, and then you shot him. That would be taking someone out of context, right? Because in a form of self-defense, I instead made you look like a murderer.
Yeah.
If I play an abortion discussion, and you say, I'm against my daughter who was raped, who's 10 years old, aborting the child, whatever it is.
Would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
But let me tell you why. No, hold on. Let me ask you a question.
The idea that you're taking out of context is like, maybe that's not what you meant, or whatever.
Well,
then you can say, Abbo, you weren't very charitable when you played those clips. You didn't give him the best light. I agree with that. But at the same time, I don't think there's a light that makes that better. Probably anti-abortion, am I right?
No, I don't know. I could care less. I respect his...
He was in the middle saying, hold on, let me, do whatever. That probably would have helped clear up his perspective further. At the same time, he didn't say it as if he was like enthusiastic. Yes, she'll have the baby. He was very like, I guess yes, she would have the baby, right? It wasn't very happy about it to make him someone evil, someone that it seemed like he would think very long and hard about, but keep to his consistent Christian values of life from his conception, and all life is valuable regardless of how it's been conceived.
Stance. I'm not pro. I'm not anti. I respect this stance. I don't agree with it, of course, but I respect. I never said I don't give a fuck about what you do with abortion.
But did you say it's a bigger problem?
Yeah, I said it's a bigger problem, but I didn't give a solution to it. I know it's a problem. But I never said what I want to do about it. I could care less.
And keep in mind too, we put out our video maybe a week after. So by this point, Charlie Kirk had been in the news for a good 7 days. Everyone talking about his politics, his faith. It's a pro-life argument. We all know you think the fetus is a person. That's why you think it's wrong. It's fine. Mm-hmm. But to act like that's taken out of context is just so crazy. It's like seeing a Muslim person in a debate, and they're like, I don't eat pork. And if I don't play the whole context of why they say they don't eat pork, it's taking them out of context. But you're Muslim. I think most people know why you don't eat pork. No? I agree. I would just say, labeling people evil is just a blanket term to be able to just cut off any kind of sense of personhood in there. And like I said,
I don't consider them people. So
you don't consider them people?
Nah, they're I'm not. I don't even have a discussion with you because and at the end of the day, I know, especially at this point, dog. At this point, bro, with the whole Kirk situation, bro, I dropped a video on this shit, dog. Like I've lost faith in humanity at this point.
This is all emotion. Remember when he said the left is emotional? This is all emotion. He saw tragedy. It affected him. He's having that traumatic response. I don't have to put a trauma word on him, but you get what I'm saying. And he's changed his values because of it. That's an emotional response.
It's the people that are close to him that really hit him the most.
Reflect for a long time. Think about it. But he's already talking about it and saying my views have shifted. It's okay to pump the brakes after a big. It's like you have an argument with somebody. I fucking hate that. That's emotional. That's when you have to calm it down. I be guilty of it sometimes. So I get it.
I am mentally, emotionally tied to my stance in this regard, dog. I could care less about why you feel the way you feel.
But that's why I'm saying this to you. You can't be emotional about this and let it govern you, because that's why you get into the bad spot. Because I need you to understand, you saying this is the exact same stuff that leads to the other people looking at Kirk and saying he's an evil person. And when someone is just evil, killing them is no problem. When someone is evil,
I
justify the murder.
I get what you. I understand what you're saying, bro. I understand what you're saying, dog. And prior to Kirk, I probably would have sided with you.
It is what it is.
So he understands the logic. He knows it's correct, but he's not going to side with it because of the emotional experience.
That's what I'm saying. There's sometimes that you guys were agreeing. He wants to agree, but he's like, nah, emotion is blocking him.
But that means he doesn't agree because that's what's driving him. And listen, emotions are not bad. I'm not here to demonize them.
If he's not ready, he says a lot, or he has said a lot through that interview that the other people, the left, are not ready to talk yet, or something of that effect. And it seems that neither is he. Much like I said at the end of that video, well, maybe just give him another month and see how it feels.
Emotions.
No.
But you have to be cognizant of what's leading you and also understand what's the basis for your ethics.
No, you don't
if
have
it's
to
just emotion, it's okay to question that.
When we're saying that, it doesn't mean that you have to walk around being like a robot, emotionless. That's not even better because you lack empathy. You lack. It's not just that.
That's a good point.
People, you're gonna walk around like, no, I'm a stoic.
Yeah,
I am a stoic. You end up being a robot, and you lack
a sociopath.
Stoicism is very useful.
You don't have any more humanity.
Everyone should know how to use stoicism. Every man should know how to use stoicism.
Yeah. Logically, it still wouldn't even make sense because ain't no talking to them. Like, there's no point in me having a conversation with somebody that's
not true, man. That's not true. Do you know how many people were talked out of killing people? Do you know how many people who had...
I'm talking about this instance right here, and I'm basing this anecdotally from the people that I've spoken with that are so misinformed, but they're unwilling to even entertain the idea that things are not the way that they believe them to be.
So I gave the valid example of people who've been talked out of terrorism, people who've talked out of extremism, the worst groups you could imagine. People who've talked hostage takers, literally get talked out of taking hostages' lives. There's so many people who get walked away from the ledge. There's people whose little job is to stop people from going beyond that where their actions act in permanence. So the idea that people can't be talked to, how many people were left-wingers on the extreme and then ended up becoming more centrist or whatever the fuck it was? This idea that people can't be talked to, it's like, what was Charlie doing? Just talking to people in the middle? Of course not. How many folks have been radically changed from being completely agnostic to being hyper-religious? This idea that this is a special case and that the people who think this, they're different, bro. That's why they're evil. Because if they thought that, they'll never change. If you think that, you're having a hyper emotional response, which has no basis in logic, no basis in reality. But it helps you justify the very baseline thing that you feel, and you don't have to think anymore. He's doing this to feel better about his stance, so that when he thinks what he thinks, when he gives into that desire of revenge or whatever the fuck it is, he doesn't have to feel bad. I understand what you're saying, but I disagree with the idea that there's no talking to them. There's plenty of people who've talked away from extremism. It happens all the time. I mean, there's a guy, what was the black dude who goes up to Ku Klux Klan members and literally talks them out of, fucking white supremacy. He talks them out of it.
I got more respect for that black man than I do you white out there.
Wow.
There's plenty of people who do that.
I really think
that's one hell of a way to say that.
Because I'd expect the KKK to be that way, but the flooding of just random people out here saying the most sadistic shit, like I've never seen anything.
Did you hear what he said? He said people can come back from the Ku Klux, but they can't come back from this. So one of the most heinous terrorism groups in history, you can come back from that, but you can't come back from this? There's no logic to this. It's an emotional discussion right now. I get it. Things are heated. It's fresh. But this doesn't make sense. I'm pointing this out because we always make emotionality look one way. And I'm like, this is it as well. This is what it looks like.
Like, what would you compare this situation to that you've seen? There's nothing to compare it to.
I was on social media enough to see shit, man. Like a couple days after Trayvon Martin was dead, motherfuckers had a trend that went viral to say that it's called Trayvoning. They would say there and lay in the exact same position as how he was killed. They did the same thing with George Floyd. Remember after he died, and motherfuckers sat on the floor while someone had their neck, and they would take these pictures. Look it up. I didn't even make it up. You can find these things. You didn't see it, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? And when those right wingers did that, a lot of them felt bad for it afterwards, and they came back from that. They celebrated and memed on this man's death. Feel how you want about him. To take a picture and make fun of a man's death who was killed in cold blood by a police officer, which is crazy. Doesn't matter about his criminal. I don't care who he was as a person. That officer who did that was wrong. Okay?
Fair.
And the fact that people laughed at that and celebrated it is a fucked up thing. And if you
Agreed.
can't admit that, that means you're unprincipled and you have no consistency. I can look at the Kirk thing and
Facts.
say that's wrong. Easy. If you can't look at these other instances and we can all agree they're all wrong. Pretending like only Kirk deserves to be treated fairly after his death, that's crazy. That means that you have no principle. You just like Kirk, he's special, he's like a god, and only his death needs to be sanctimonious. I say all this to say, even when Malcolm X died, there's people out there celebrating. It's not new. People who are contentious figures, who are political, they had people who hated them. They had people who were glad to see them gone when they passed, okay? Unfortunately, that's always been a reality. The only difference is now everyone got a phone and everyone feels more important than they actually are, so we all record our reactions. That's the only difference.
This point, yeah, but it's not as big as now. Nothing is gonna be as big as the next thing. Why? Because of time, because of technology, because of social media. Social media was not what it was, and people back then when the Trayvon thing happened, it was still big. And we still managed to hear about it and see people laughing about it. Yeah, no, it was, to me, same.
Yeah, and it's okay if this one feels different for you, if it feels more impactful. Everything is subjective, right? We all have our different reasons for feeling strongly. But pretending like one life is more important than the others, or one life deserves more recognition than the others, like, when you start doing that, you start creating a hierarchy between human life.
Yep.
Oh, Charlie Kirk's more important. It's like, no, all political violence is bad. We should just end point there, right? I hate this thing. I'm like, and then I'm like, what can you? You start deifying people. They're not gods. They're all humans. They all bleed red. So many examples of people laughing at people dying because they didn't like them and they didn't like what they stood for. That happens all the time. And these aren't even political people. These aren't even political people. Actually, that's a good point. People were memeing on folks who weren't even involved in contentious topics. Is motherfuckers existing in a spot or pulled over by the cops and get murdered, and nobody cares. People laughed at them. I'm not saying it should happen. My whole point is this has been a thing for a long time.
It was at this scale?
It might not have been to this scale or in this terms of virality. I'll agree with you there, but I'm just saying people celebrate death. It happens. Paul Pelosi. And actually, that's a great point. If you think that people that celebrate or mock folks who get attacked or that suffer from political violence are irredeemable, whatever it is, you understand that means Trump is irredeemable.
How's her husband doing, by the way? Anybody know?
You understand that his son is irredeemable?
Yeah,
because that's what they did after Paul Pelosi. They made their own little memes and laughed at him. I just want us to think, how many more people are you going to condemn? I asked the question, how many more people need to be decapitated? I don't know, he's being eyeballed, but it was still a crazy thing. I'll say, this discussion definitely, I feel as though this discussion,
the fuck?
That's funny. Yo, leave that in. I feel as though this discussion definitely red-pilled me.
The red pill you.
Yeah, I want to start a podcast in Miami, and I think things have definitely changed for me now. I realize that I just want to think about making money, fucking babies, sugar babies.
Oh, you mean, okay, this discussion gave you cancer. God.
Glad you caught on. No, I just, there's a lot of self-reflection I also have to do in regards to how I engage with things, especially after listening to Erica Kirk's speech. I know a lot of people feel different ways about it, but whatever. For me, it was a good message, and I thought it made me reflect. So irrespective of whether it was genuine or not, I'm just saying the effect it had on me. And I think I'm going to take some time to, think about the way that I use my language online and how that might radicalize people or, inflame things in the wrong direction. We're human. We're going to slip up. The most important thing is that we have the discussions, that we talk about it, and that when we're faced with this logic, we don't resist it inherently. Because I think deep down inside, we know that forgiveness is a good thing. Forgiveness doesn't mean no accountability. But we know that these things, these values that we grew up on in all our stories from a young age, we know that they're the right thing. As we get older, we start to build walls around them and get separated. And we can't lose sight of that. Yes, people do horrible things. Yes, some people engage in an incredible amount of evil, and they should pay it. It doesn't mean that there aren't people who aren't redeemable. How many people went to gangs and later on went to be the kind of people who keep kids out of gangs? That happens. So before we look at right, left, anybody on any side of the aisle and say these people are irredeemable, let's be careful. That's all I'm trying to say. Tensions are high. We all feel some type of way. But if we just keep using dehumanizing language, that's the bedrock for how someone grabs a rifle and goes and shoots somebody. That's the bedrock for how that guy went up into the house of the minister and blasted them in their home.
Just understand that I think dehumanizing language can be used against you as well.
Absolutely.
Just whatever you spew out there can come back. Spit against the wind, you might get wet. Pause.
I mean, there's a lot of people who might look at this debate and our discussion, see what Stevie said about kids and food, and might say that dude's evil.
Oh,
He said, I'm a capitalist. Like, you know what I mean? Your parents take it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
100%.
That's it. But, you know, like I said, I'm going to definitely do my own reflecting. So that's all from me. Anything else you want
Yeah,
to
you
say?
need to reflect on your shit.
Thanks. I will. Once I get to Miami and start this podcast, nigga, me and these hoes going to be reflecting on a yacht, eating White Castle on this ferry.
White
for 10
Castle?
G's.
Shut that shit off. Boys being boys.
Thanks. That's why I'm like, boy, why you people when I got the homies? Nigga? Hey, man, let's go lay down.
Crazy about you,
fucking
Diddy.
vest on and shit.
Talk to me like that, man. Oh, fuck you up.
Bro, all that aggression, bro, is so manly.
What the fuck? All right. Let's see what Stevie got to say about this. But it seems to me that, you know, it was pretty clear from the original interview or original debate that what Abba was going to talk about. He's pretty much expanded on the points he was already making, and I believe he has a fair position on Stevie's emotional approach to this whole thing. Well, let's see what makes Abba fake. I don't know why my shit's fucking lagging today. I should never stream when there's a cloud on the sky.
Cannot say that I saw this coming. Look like Abba made a follow-up video to our debate the other day when we were debating Kirk issues, and he's titled this video, "This Debate Red Pilled Me," but it's the thumbnail, he got a picture of me and him on it. You know what I mean? And you know, Abba ain't no stranger to doing the extra, so I'm wondering what the angle is, bro, because, you know what I mean, I ain't take anything negative from that experience. I thought it was a pretty cordial, productive conversation, you know what I mean? So yeah, this video was 31 minutes long, man, but let's get it.
Do you agree that there's a lot of parents who neglect those children?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that those kids should suffer because they have bad parents?
No.
Okay,
I don't think they should, but bad shit happens.
On to the next point.
And there's so many people that die from car accidents, bro. You get shit. It's bad. Up shit happens. Like, we can't save everybody. We can't save everybody, bro. Like, it is.
But just because we can't save everybody doesn't mean we don't try.
I'm advocating for kids to take advantage of the surplus of food available to them in the different ways that it is.
Yeah.
It's not on somebody to do it, bro. Like, you know, you're shitty parents. I get it, dog. This life. Life is fucking hard, dog. And some children are born in fucked up circumstances, bro. It is what it is.
Yeah, but I had a debate with Stevie Knight from Night Talk. He reached out to me to have a discussion after he covered our Kirk video a while back.
Oh, it wasn't me, it was him.
Threw me off a lot.
There should be free school lunch for all children.
No.
Why?
Of course not. Because parents should feed their kids, not the government.
What if they can't?
Let's go get a job.
A child? You
No,
want child
the parents should go get the job. You are a dumb dude. Don't give me this stuff. First of all, this is really.
I want children to eat.
Of course I do. Show me a single child in America going hungry. Doesn't exist. It does not exist. We have a child obesity problem.
So I'm like, if you just Google it, what he said is a blatant lie. But the smugness with which he said that.
Says in the U.S. around 13 to 14 million children experienced food insecurity in recent years, with 1 in 5 children lacking consistent access to enough food. This condition, known as food insecurity, means families don't have reliable access to enough food. The number has seen a significant increase, with 2022 data showing a rise in child food insecurity, reversing previous declines. But where in that does it say kids are starving? We can't be switching words out now, man. Food insecurity is entirely different than starving. That was the question posed.
But the entailment would be that the kids are starving because they don't have enough food. Right. Like if a kid eats once a day, I guess that's not technically starving, but they're malnourished. Like it's all semantic. It's all kind of like, you know, you're playing a definition game. But he's still, his point's made.
in that debate with Kirk, and even with addressing this topic, I mean, I haven't seen where he's going with it, bro. But this video was one of the videos Alba cherry picked to manufacture a narrative about Kirk trying to highlight him as disgusting. So like we're moving the goalposts and discussing a different topic. Hopefully he doesn't take. You know what? I'm gonna wait before I get ahead of what's going on here, man, because he may address it. But yeah, it says food insecurity, bro. It doesn't say people starving. Oh, let me ask ChatGPT and see how many people are actually starving in America, because I don't even need to look up the stat. I know. I'm
Let's still look at the stat.
99.9% sure that we do not have a starvation problem.
Asking ChatGPT is still looking up a stat.
Is there a child? You know what? I ain't gonna leave it open like that. How many children are starving? I'm trying to be objective about this. I don't want to have a leading question into, my bias.
In America. Yeah, how many children are starving in America?
Children are suffering from starvation. In America. So short answer, about 13 to 14 million children in the U.S. live in food insecure households in 2023.
It's the same
What
thing.
does food insecure mean? A bit more detail on what those words mean. Most official counts use the term food insecure, not the clinical word starving. Food insecurity means a household sometimes
it's
lacks
just a
enough
terminology
money or
thing.
resources or other resources for adequate food. It ranges from worrying about running out of food to skipping meals. According to USDA, ERS, and major anti-hunger groups, nearly 14 million children live in a food insecure household in 2023. That represented about 1 child in 5 experiencing some level of food insecurity during the year. Local conditions vary a lot. Some countries and communities have much higher child food insecurity rates. Important distinction: starving describes severe malnutrition and is relatively rare in the U.S. The larger measurable problem is food insecurity. People missing meals, cutting portion sizes, or not having reliable access to nutritious food. Surveys show many parents skip or reduce their own meals to feed children, so child hunger is a serious public health and developmental issue, even if full clinical starvation is uncommon. I mean, so we're talking about two different things, but for the sake of the argument, I guess I'll give him this food insecure point he's trying to make, man, but that wasn't the question that was posed to Kirk. Like, we don't have a starvation problem.
I mean, to be fair, if we are talking about two different things, then right. So Abba's point, as the data he brought up, was the food insecurity stat, and then that little thing just mentioned how rare starvation actually is among children. So you're both right.
I mean, skipping meals, not getting, the nutritious meals, bodies require. It's another conversation. But at the same time, we talking about schools providing the foods, and I don't know how familiar y'all are with the actual food that these public schools give children at the cafeteria, bro. It ain't the highest of quality, right? And that's a whole different conversation, bro.
There's a different conversation.
Anyway, I want to continue before I start nitpicking this shit like crazy.
What he said is a blatant lie. But the smugness with which he said that stuff, he's like, well, the parents should pay. Well, we all know there's bad parents out there. We all know there's like parents who neglect their kids, parents who got on drugs, whatever it could be. And Stevie was like aggressively defending this stance. Go get food stamps. You can get food at churches. There's no reason to starve. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there's no reason to starve in America. It's like 1% of households.
What I say, starve.
Yeah.
This is food insecurity. Starving and food insecurity are entirely two different things. You saw the stat. It says starvation is extremely uncommon, extremely rare in America, but they came up with a new definition or a new problem labeled food insecurity,
It's easier to
which
measure.
means you may not have adequate food available. You may skip meals. You're still eating. You're not starving. That's a different problem, man. So we're moving the goalposts. We're moving the goalposts. I wish we could have gotten this conversation during the debate and not trying to do this.
See, that's when you come prepared to a debate, Stevie. You didn't seem too prepared for that debate. If you would have looked this up before, then you would have had it right in your back pocket.
You know, after the fact shit, man. But yeah, this is cap. All right, this is cap.
Like I guess technically a hunger issue, bro. But people are not starving to death in America, bro. Motherfuckers are fat as hell.
But I remember just it throwing me off because I'm like, what possesses an adult to look like a 7-year-old? And like I said, there's 14 million kids suffer from food scarcity. That means they don't know where they're gonna get their next meal. I went to school with niggas like that. Y'all go to school with nobody who just sometimes they would show up and they didn't have a lunch, and the teacher would sometimes have to fill in if they would. But I remember some
I gotta
lunches.
say this again, bro. You clearly saw me state that there is no starvation problem in America. Children are not emaciated. When I'm talking about this, I'm thinking of the likes of like famine. You know what I mean? Skinny extremities, popped out bellies, like really starving. People in America do not know what starving feels like. We don't suffer from that.
I know what starving feels
The
like.
kids didn't get shit. They used to have to eat out of other kids' boxes. And, you know, people are like, oh, what's wrong with skipping a meal? When you're in development, it's bad. It stunts their growth. Their academic scores are lower on average as well.
It is hard to believe, but a government report out tonight says more than 17 million American children don't know where their next meal is coming from. Many count on school food programs, but what happens now that school is out?
And then afterwards, Stevie's like, well,
If homeless are hungry, they can go get some fucking food, dog. Food stamps, bro.
The homeless don't go hungry, bro. They can go get a meal if they want to get a meal.
you're comparing children to homeless. Have you not been a child before? Do you think kids know where to? Yeah, but the teacher
Call parties that do this for a living to find children the resources that they need. Like teachers do this all the time. They'll see a child that may be neglected and they'll make the calls or alert people to, intervene.
You want to call child services? You want to put them in foster care?
It may be better than having the shooty ass parents.
Have you looked into foster care, Steve? Have you Googled foster care?
Yeah, but you're describing these parents as ain't shit, bro. Like it is bad shit happens.
You want the teacher to wait till the kid's like emaciated and clearly skinny? You know what I mean? It's
That's what
crazy.
I'm saying. I was like, okay, this.
How am I saying we're waiting for the kids to be emaciated? Teachers are aware of, good teachers are aware of their students' conditions, man, and if they notice something off. You know what I mean? Maybe they may notice a child looking extra hungry. It's the same thing as like if they notice, a child that may be getting abused at the home. They're gonna make calls necessary to rectify the situation. They see it.
I don't know how school systems are anymore, but it's definitely how it was when I was growing up. But I feel like today that teachers, especially with the whole, the parents don't need to be involved in school shit situation. I feel like teachers don't do that anymore.
A child that may look like they're hungry, you know what I mean? They're eating super aggressive at the cafeteria, or maybe they're
Goddamn pressing
going through
the
people's
noise.
food or whatnot.
Can't
Like,
think about the noise.
teachers are able to observe.
There we go.
You know what I mean? But like, we're being nitpicky at the end of the day, because the beginning of this conversation, we were comparing, and I'm sure he's gonna leave that part out. We were comparing. Maybe I brought it up. Oh, he brought it up. He said, "How was Kirk, the same person that is pro-life and anti-abortion, so inconsiderate of the children that are, suffering from, I don't know if it was food insecurity or food uncertainty, whatever label they created for that, right?" And I posed the question. I said, well, what do you think's worse, abortion, the amount of abortions in America, or the kids starving? I'll provide that clip
I
so
think he
y'all
brings
can
it up.
see when I pose that question. I haven't even looked up the stats. Just know, literally to the sense of starvation. Man, you saw ChatGPT said starving is almost non-existent in America. Bro.
Do you guys even Google this stuff? Do you guys even look into it? But you speak confidently.
Clinical starvation as a mass problem. Starvation is not a population level problem. Is severe, acute. Malnutrition affects less than 1% of children. In 2023, they about 1 million abortions.
Against this stuff that's hurting hundreds and thousands of kids. And I'm like, I don't get it.
I'll ask you a question. Which one is higher, the amount of abortions in America or the amount of starving children in America?
The amount of starving kids in America.
Oh, that's cap. That's cap.
That's cap? Did you Google it? Did you Google it?
I don't need to Google it, but
you don't need facts. But you know what? Facts don't care about how you feel about it. I need you to Google it.
Okay, I'll Google it. Somebody Google it in the chat, bro. But if we're pushing the goalposts and saying children that are not getting their meals or don't know where their next meal is coming from, that's another conversation to be had. I clearly kept repeating starving, 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 starving. Right? Americans don't know what starving is. We don't know what.
Obesity is actually the bigger nutritional issue. About 20% of those children ages 2 to 19 are classified as obese. So paradoxically, America has far more children at risk of obesity-related disease than starvation. Damn.
Starving is, man. But I see what he's doing here. He's playing semantics and moving the goalposts with this conversation, bro.
Be right just to be right. What are we doing? Is that what you think the kid is gonna go out? Oh yeah, you know what? My lunch break. Let me go to this food bank real quick. Or hop in my car and go. Oh no, why am I even trying to say this to someone? It's like you don't know teachers. You don't know what teachers do. You haven't never been to school. It's okay to be wrong and say like, you know what? Hey, you're right.
And then afterwards, it kept getting colder and colder. He's like, you know, all these EBT stamps, you get food stamps. I'm like, you want a 10-year-old to get food stamps? Like, y'all know. And then it kept going. And at one point, he just said, well, listen, man, it is what it is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and the world's not perfect, dog. It's not utopia, bro. So it's like, I get, and then I'm a capitalist, dog. I'm not in support of the government coming out taking care of everything. I know it's a problem. I never said what I want to do about it. I could care less. Like, it is what it is, dog. This life is fucking hard, dog. And some children are born in fucked up circumstances, bro. It is what it is.
But to kids not having access to food, shit happens. And I remember why thinking, like now with hindsight, I remember why this moment really stuck out to me. It's like, if you talk like that about kids not having access to food, is it any wonder why people think you guys are monsters? I don't agree with it. I think it's an abhorrent view to hold. But this is the extremism that leads to somebody like Charlie Kirk getting shot.
Bruh, here we go, bro. He taking me out of context again. See, I ain't shit. He ain't shit, bro. I thought he was shit, but he ain't shit. You know what I mean? Because this whole conversation was about Kirk and how he demonizes Kirk, right? When he posed the question to me, I said I wouldn't be against the government if that passed, right? It is what it is. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be against it, but I'm not gonna demonize Kirk for having this stance, and I understand Kirk's perspective, bro. But he just running with the, I guess, the negative shit that, I don't know, this must have got to him. You know what I mean? Because it ain't like I'm some big ass YouTuber or some big ass personality on YouTube that's gonna get him views. Like, this really must have struck him the wrong way. So he must have only heard what he wanted to hear. You know what I mean? Because I gotta pull that snippet up too. I said I wouldn't be against the government if they budgeted that for it, right? But I'm not gonna demonize Kirk for his stance because I understand it.
We pay so much in tax dollars, and most of it goes to the military to do funding wars overseas. I don't think it's so crazy to say, hey man, take 1% of that budget and make sure these kids don't go hungry. Take another 1% of that budget and take care of veterans. But you know, like maybe, maybe that's wrong. I just think it's crazy.
I wouldn't disagree with you with that, but I don't disagree with Kirk either. I mean, I don't think he should be painted as a demon for having that viewpoint.
I mean, I think it's pretty demonic to not want kids to have meals. Personally,
he's not. He never said he didn't want kids to have meals. Is that the only conversation you see discussing that topic?
When he was suggested a food program to make sure that kids who can't get access to
I honestly don't know how many times that topic
he said
came up in his
Can you answer my question? Was that the only video did you let that video play and see what else he said in regards to that discussion?
Yeah, I played it.
And what did he say?
He said that he thinks that the parents should take care of it.
No, he said pull it up right now.
We have churches, we have food shelters, we have billions, and it does not exist. We have a child obesity problem, not a child starvation problem in this country. 50% of our kids are obese or overweight. There's not a single kid in America that has died of starvation in the last 10 years. Show me that kid. Show me. They're not. This is a propaganda thing from the Democrat Party. Our kids are so overweight they have type 2 diabetes by the age of 8. So the number one problem for kids right now is that they're not moving enough and they're eating too much, not that there's child starvation. Instead, let's get back to a time where we say, hey, parents feed your kids, churches feed your kids, communities feed your kids, not big daddy government coming in and doing what the families should do. With that, I say thank you guys so much and have a great day.
And I'm going to reiterate, there's government programs that
I already know
literally focus on this, feeding the hungry, right? And I don't know what is available for children or whatnot, man. But even at this point, right, we're semantics. Like moving the goalposts. I was talking about children starving. All right, that's what I said. Children starving. But anyway, let's continue.
This kind of like bad faith, almost like mean spirited. It's like I don't understand what's Christian about that either. That's not yours pushing, but Charlie is like. We have kids that are suffering. You guys are like super anti-abortion, pro-life. You guys want to preserve. Then these kids come out and there's like this smug attitude of like,
I'm pro-life. I'm pro-life. But if you're hungry, man, shit happens.
And if we're being honest, the comparison between abortions and food insecurity, it's a stupid argument, dog, because regardless of these children's circumstances, they still have the ability to live. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Why are we comparing killed babies to babies that are alive? Nobody in America is dying from starvation. We ain't about to do this, bro. We could have talked about all this shit in the fucking conversation, bro. So I don't know if he slept on it, something bothered his ass, bro, but this shit is...
Do you agree that there's a lot of...
This shit is whack, bro, because like you said, he's taking me out of context. What he did with Kirk. I'm not even trying to have bad blood with this fool. Not even that fucking serious, bro. But like this shit don't come across as genuine. So what I'm gonna do is pull up our conversation, bro, and I'll just let it speak for itself.
You said it was different in your video because Charlie Kirk died on camera and nobody was supposed to see that. Remember that you saying that?
Yeah.
Right. To me, I understand that the fact that he died on camera makes it much more graphic, much more in your face. But at the end of the day, murder is murder. Dying is dying.
But it's the effect that it has on society. It's not the same. In a vacuum, it's the same. But if people were able to see that video until the end of time now, right? They're able to see that man go out the way that he did, and knowing up until this, I can't compare someone else that had the amount of influence Kirk had. You know what I mean? If he hadn't been murdered in front of everyone at once, your analogy, your comparison would be fair, man. But you can't minimize that.
If Kirk's not killed on camera, is this situation more or less tragic?
It's less tragic.
So dying on camera makes a murder worse?
No, not the murder worse, but the effect that has on the people is worse because everybody can see it.
Sure.
It's different than watching a news report and you hear about somebody had something happen to him that was grotesque as opposed to actually seeing it, because this people are going through trauma with this right now. You know what I mean? They're going to have this burnt, little kids saw this. It's nowhere near the same as anybody else.
That's the effect that it has on you as an individual. But yeah, the tragedy is the same. The tragedy.
I disagree with you on that.
Okay, well, yeah, we're definitely gonna disagree. Yeah. If my father dies on camera or doesn't die on camera, at the end of the day, he died. Somebody took my person away from
So you don't think the fact that everybody can see your father die and have that accessible 24/7 on social media is not gonna make the situation any different than having him die?
No, it makes it different. But from a moral standpoint, it's the exact same. There's no difference in morality.
Well, morality is a different conversation. I'm talking about tragedy. I'm talking about the effects it's having on society.
Yeah, but if I'm talking about other murders, if I'm talking about other murders, I'm talking about the moral aspect of it. I don't care whether it happens in front of 100 people, 10 people, a school. It doesn't really matter to me. Murder is murder. All political violence to me that happens for political reasons are equally bad, whether they happen. That's how I feel about it. You might disagree with that.
And I'd imagine a lot are going to disagree with that perspective as well, man. The fact that you can see it, you can hear about somebody that died by the guillotine, but they're actually seeing it is going to be totally different. And with kids, college campus, in front of his babies, in front of his wife, the whole world see that, bro, it's entirely different.
It's different in the impact that it has on the viewer.
Yeah, but that's my whole point. That's my whole point, and that's why it's more tragic.
But that doesn't mean that we can't contextualize it with those other murders. You say it's not comparable, but I disagree. They died for the same reason.
If you had related that way, trying to bring up the similarities and how you conveyed it just now,
it would make more sense. But that's not at all how you conveyed it in the video. It came from, you know, a leftist bias type of perspective from my end, that you were trying to minimize it by bringing up other similarities. You didn't bring anything up about it being moral or same morally. You were just saying, to summarize it, you know, Kirk died, everybody else died, and this happens with political violence. That's pretty much what you said.
Because what I'm getting at is not how he died, or like in front of who that he died. What I'm focused on is why was he killed. I don't personally care that he was killed on a live stream or in a pre-recorded video.
Do you think you're the anomaly with that perspective?
No.
You think that most people don't care that he died online?
I think that's the reason why it went viral for sure, but that's not why they care. You don't care about this topic because
what I'm asking you is, you say you don't care that he died on live stream. And I'm asking you, do you think most people don't care that he died on live stream?
No. Most people are focused on the fact that he was killed for political reasons. That's what people care about. No one's outraged by this whole thing because it happened on camera.
I'm not saying that they're outraged. I'm just saying that adds more nuance. It makes it worse because of that.
But that's in the background. That's not that important. What's really important is that he was killed for political reasons. That's the focus. That's not just a little bit. That's 99% of the focus. None of the coverage that we've been seeing lately is because, like, can you believe that people die on camera? Nobody's talking about.
But that's not my argument.
Come
on, bro. That's not my argument, dog. I'm not saying that it's only important because it happened on camera. I'm saying it's worse than everything else that's happened thus far because it happened the way that it did.
Okay, yeah, I think we'll agree to disagree. I don't think someone dying on camera makes it worse. I think a tragedy, death is death, murder is murder. If you are murdered by somebody on camera in front of a body, so I
played the whole thing. You didn't take nothing out of context, bro. So you tell me what's worse, you know, what just described, or the fact that someone, I don't even know what word to describe that as, demented enough, is that the correct word, or desensitized enough, or I don't know what it is, bro, but for someone to say that this assassination happening publicly for the entire world to see does not make this incident more tragic.
Well, that's desensitization
no
for sure.
Any other murder,
100%.
Asinine. That's problematic. Of course, it's bad because he died from political violence, but it's much worse that the entire world saw this man get clipped the way that he did. It was fucking tragic.
Especially
People
the way
are not
that he
meant
did.
to see that. Murder is murder is absolutely not the case. The severity of the actions, the grotesqueness of the actions, and on top of the fact, people were able to see it. Children were able to see it. Students were able to see it. Mothers and fathers were able to see it. It absolutely makes the situation worse. That's much more severe of a societal issue that we're struggling with as a whole, because we've been desensitized to things, to shit on what happened to Charlie Kirk the way that he did and say it's no different than anything else, and him being assassinated publicly like that doesn't make anything worse, bro. I pose a question to y'all, man. Charlie Kirk dying the way that he did, being assassinated the way he did, being shot down the way that he did, does that make his situation worse? Does that impact society more? Are people traumatized more? Are people gonna have bad dreams more? Are those images gonna be burnt in the back of people's minds more? It's entirely different from, you know, back in the day, a death row inmate dying from the death penalty from the chair, and you read about it, but then to actually see it, come on, man. Come on, man. It's absolutely different reading the amount of abortions that take place in America, but to actually see an abortion take place, the visual provided, bro, it makes the game entirely different, dog.
Yeah.
Makes the game entirely different, bro, because we're humans. We're not meant to see that shit, and we can empathize much more when we have the action take place in front of us. So to shit on that and say it's equal to just any murder, absolutely not, bro. Absolutely not. Honestly, it made me think about, you know, what things Abba has experienced, you know, personally to address it that way. I mean, like, you have to be desensitized. You have to have dehumanized people to a certain point to say, nah, it ain't no different than me reading a headline saying somebody got shot. Right? Nah, bro. It's entirely different. But yeah, this was whack.
This was whack.
Just whack.
All right, got some more time. I'm gonna try to get through the rest of this. All right.
And I remember hearing that, and then I asked that about him, and he's like, "Yeah, I feel
Oh,
like
that
the
was
right is
over.
a bit more logical and things like that." You said the left is more emotional, so I feel like you think the right is more logical.
Yeah, I'd agree with that take.
Okay. And as we discuss the whole topic of good versus evil, there's a portion of it that's really interesting.
Cancer needs to be cut out, bro. Ain't no talking to them, and it needs to be get these motherfuckers out of here. It is war because ain't no talking to them, ain't nothing you say to them. They need to be deterred. They need to be controlled. They need to be fucking exiled, decapitated, whatever your cup of tea is, bro.
That's what he said in the original.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to be super good faith and think he was being hyperbolic and emotional at the time, and he didn't mean to say that we shouldn't take off the heads of people who said this stuff. But I'm going to just assume that. I'm going to be very good faith thinking he was just being spur of the moment. Let's listen.
I told him what I meant. I said I was just saying things to make everyone that felt what I was saying feel heard. But whatever, bro. Whatever. This is some sensitive shit.
I'm a disagree with you. I think people who do evil things aren't necessarily evil. I think sometimes they're hurt. I think sometimes they are in a really bad place. I think sometimes these are folks that, and it's almost ironic too, because I do believe that people should be punished for the things that they do and they should suffer those consequences, but I don't think they're irredeemable. Labeling someone evil, I think, is a way for us to look at something and then simplify it. But the reality is that things are complex. People are complex, and the reason why they get to that place is very difficult. There's plenty of people who were white supremacists or part of horrible gangs and came back from it. There's how many people went to gangs and later on went to be the kind of people who keep kids out of gangs. Horrible things and came back from it. Same thing on the left side.
They better get back from it before it's too late. That's all I'm saying, because I ain't got time to care about why they are that they are.
Now, just before we keep going with this, I should also be accountable in the way that I engage in discourse, because plenty of times where I have probably written people off out of frustration because you just see a lot of shit every day. We all have those feelings. The important part is that when we're talked back from that ledge, we don't stay there. Because the moment you start looking at people and looking at large swaths of people and saying they need to lose their freedoms, they need to do this. Listen, y'all can think it's despicable. I agree it's just despicable. I agree there's a lot of bad things, but it doesn't mean that these people should lose their freedoms. Because then we go into a place now where you are now criminalizing things that aren't criminal. They might be abhorrent. They might be views you don't agree with, but part of living in a free society means that the views that you have, you're allowed to hold them and still be free. Now, we might not employ you, we might cancel you, but this idea that we're going to bring violence, that we're going to bring police officers, we're going to put you in jail because we don't like what you stand for, understand how that can be used for persecution.
Abba is disingenuous as shit, bro. What the fuck, dog? This is crazy, man. I don't know. I can't. It's like, were we having the same conversation, bro? You know what I mean? My whole point in that conversation was there's no talking to them. That's all I said. There's no talking to them. You know what I mean? And he's trying to take this moral high ground saying that, I'm saying that people should not be allowed to say what they say, right? Depending upon what you say and what is done from what you're saying you're going to do, right? You deserve to get your freedom taken. You know what I mean? Or you say the wrong thing to somebody can help
consent
hold
with
you
violence is
accountable.
illegal.
I mean, you say talking shit, you're going to have to back up that shit you talking at some point. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, bro, the whole point, do I need to bring up timestamps for that? I thought it's just eye-opening. It's eye-opening to me, bro. The fact of taking things entirely out of context, trying to present a narrative when you can go see the conversation for yourself. I mean, if you want to cherry pick in different points of the conversation to manufacture a narrative, bro, that's the whole problem we have with Charlie Kirk, bro. You picking and choosing what you want to focus on and taking all the context out of it, bro. I label all these motherfuckers as evil, and there's nothing you can do with these evil motherfuckers, bro. You know what I mean? At one point, he said, well, if it's possible for these people's minds to be changed at some point, due with, time, patience or whatnot, are they truly evil? All right, yeah. But
You know what I'm saying? He's being contrarian at that point. That's not even that wasn't the point. The point is we got some evil, sadistic motherfuckers at this point right now who don't deserve any of my time and a lot of others' time by the energy, by the things, by the demonic, evil things that they're spewing online, that they're spewing in public. You know what I mean? To me personally, in regards to someone's life being taken, bro, it's like there's no talking to some people. There may be some talking if you know what I'm saying, a nun that can sit there and waste your time talking to a wall at some point. But these fools have to go on their own fucking journey. I dropped a whole video about it, bro. Like some people you just can't talk to. Let them die on that sword, bro. All this kumbaya shit, it's not reality, dog. That's why wars take place. You know what I mean? That's why countries don't like each other. That's why people don't like each other, bro. Differences in opinion. And if you say the wrong shit, you do the wrong thing, there's consequences, repercussions for it. All this, bruh, I don't know. I ain't got time, dog. I'm going to go for a little bit more, bruh, but taking me out of context is diabolical.
Someday. You might be a religious person. What if the country becomes much more liberal or much more atheist? You might be the person who they come for one day and call evil. This is definitely the time where you want to tone that kind of stuff down. Now, I know it's not easy. I'm not going to sit here on my soapbox and pretend I'm perfect. I've done it myself. But this is the emotional side of things. You know, when we talk about people being emotional, this is called being emotional. You might feel justified, you might feel righteous, but the moment you just say, everybody who did this is just evil, then what that happens is that going after these people becomes justice. If you hurt them, it's not bad because it's justice. You smited evil.
All right,
that's all we got to do.
Yeah, Abba ain't shit. He ain't shit, bro. I got to pull up another snippet. Something I just posted, bro. I told the fool in the middle of the conversation, dog, you trying to put words on me. Say you being emotional. You think it with your whatever. Nah, dog. I said it's logical for me to cut these people off because it would be a waste of time communicating with these people. That's why I don't fuck with them. Don't shit surprise me about the fucking world. And I was extremely surprised to see that amount of fucking. There's nothing I can categorize, label it as outside of fucking evil. Or people that I didn't fucking expect. Even people that I know personally, bro, that I didn't even think had that type of shit in them is out here celebrating a man's death that way.
But that's my point. I get how you feel. I get the whole, like the sensation of like, this world is a dark place and like we can't even negotiate.
I'm not even gonna say the world's dark place. I'm just saying that part of the world.
Well, you said you got no hope.
I'm saying there's no hope for these motherfuckers. You may give them hope. I'm not. They could burn.
You can't approach the world's problem from a hyper emotional place. And that's what you're doing right now. You're letting the passion and the emotion of the moment govern how you're viewing the world. Yes, you are.
You misquoting me, bro. There is emotion tied to it, bro. I'm a human being. I'm not a fucking machine. But I told you, the reason why I feel comfortable having this perspective on it is because logically, I know that there's no way to talk these people out of it. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of effort for what?
What's this logic? This logic that you can't talk people out of extremism.
There's no talking to any of these extremists, these evil motherfuckers, out of their frame of mind until they take their own journey to do it. And I'm not gonna sit here wasting my time trying to take them out when they not ready to have that conversation.
If you're not willing or you're not interested in that discussion, that's fine. But saying that there's no way to talk people out of forms of extremism.
There is a way. There's a way. I'm just saying I'm not signing up for it. You can. I'm not. Right. I feel good about it because I don't fuck with them. Right. But why would I waste my time talking to someone that there's no point in talking to? It's a logical thing to do. I'm done with this, though.
There's a lot of people, well, a lot on a relative scale, that I just stopped talking to because of, stop talking to, but stop talking certain things with because I already know that they're going to be a pain in the ass about conversation. I got a whole thing with one of my friends about the whole Elon Hitler salute shit. And it's like my position, I immediately thought he was just a goofy guy who did goofy shit. And she was like, no, this is all, like, he did hand perfectly, blah, blah, he did this and that. I'm like, I'm not trying to have this conversation. So I completely understand where Stevie's coming from. I mean, I understood it before. It makes complete sense. But this whole time, it seems like this whole thing is like, seems to be them both talking past each other to a certain degree. Right. It seems like they understand each other to a certain point, but it still seems like they're talking past each other. That seems to be the bigger problem.
I'm sitting here wasting my time. I'm repeating myself.
But they both have
It's
good
like all
points
taken out
and
of
they both make
context,
solid
and he's cherry
arguments.
picking. He's doing the same thing social media
It's not like a
does,
win-loss
cherry picking
situation.
certain things to bring attention to address a fucking point that had nothing to do with the conversation at the end of the day. You know what I mean? The conversation, the debate was about how he minimized Kirk's death and him manufacturing a narrative. Those are my issues, bro. And then he's cherry picking different things to.
It became more about the man and his policies rather than
trying to be
the
on some,
assassination
Gandhi
itself.
shit. We can all live in peace together.
Which often does
Nah,
end up
bro.
developing into is the man and his
but
policies.
Whatever. Whatever, dog. This shit is fucking. This is whack. You know what I mean, this is whack, and it's whack because it's unexpected from I don't know album. You know what I mean? But now I'm having a real shit to base my opinion on him off of, bro. And this is very disingenuous. He's manufacturing a narrative again. He's taking me out of context, and he's cherry picking things to address in this video that were pretty much irrelevant in our conversation, bro. I mean, I hit bro up on Instagram, dog, so I don't want to do this online. I mean, ain't no beef here. Ain't none of that shit. Ain't that fucking serious, dog. But I'm definitely surprised by this, dog. So y'all do with that or y'all will, bro. But you know what I'm saying? I appreciate the attention, dog. I appreciate the views or whatnot. I appreciate, you know what I'm saying? All publicity is good publicity, bro. But
Well, that's not true.
It's getting fake, bro.
Getting fake. Her getting fake. That was very interesting, though. That was as interesting as I thought it was going to be. Because again, like I said, I've been following both these people for years. I remember back when ABBA was skinnier, with an afro, and a shittier camera quality. And I remember when Mr. Stevie Knight was sitting there in his kitchen, doing Eminem bar breakdowns with a little blue microphone. But anyway, I hope it doesn't turn into any actual beef, and they could just kind of leave it at that. But